All right, page 10. So let's turn now to the second question. Are current efforts to raise standards by focusing on ritual mitzvot, while actually lowering standards of mitzvot relating to maintaining Jewish families, is this policy treating converts and potential converts with compassion and other moral considerations? In the guise of raising standards, the contemporary Orthodox world has stressed almost exclusively the details of Shabbat and holiday observances, kashrut, prayer, and mikvah. A candidate for conversion who is not ready to give a detailed commitment to these ritual mitzvot has little chance of being accepted for Giur. Yet, aren't there other important considerations that need to be factored into the conversion process? I would certainly say so, and I'm obviously not alone. Rabbi Benzion Uziel, from 1880 to 1953, the late Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel, saw himself as being very stringent in applying the prohibitions against intermarriage. Therefore, he believed that rabbis must do everything in their power to prevent intermarriage situations. When a Jew and a non-Jew were intending to marry each other, or already were married to each other, Rabbi Uziel urged that rabbis convert the non-Jewish partner to Judaism. You hear that, friends? He made this ruling even when it was expected that the couple would not be observant of all the mitzvot. He ruled that performing such conversions was not only permitted, but it was a mitzvah. He wrote, "From all that has been stated and discussed, the ruling follows that it is permissible and a mitzvah to accept male and female converts, even if it is known to us that they will not observe all the mitzvot, because in the end they will come to fulfill them. We are commanded to make this kind of opening for them, and if they do not fulfill the mitzvot, they will bear their own iniquities, and we are innocent," which is true. I don't know if I've covered this before in one of the previous pages, because there's been several days in between me recording this, but the examples that we have of Hillel, he converted all three people who came to him with ulterior motives. The law specifically says when someone did convert with ulterior motives, because they converted, it's a halakhic conversion. It's valid. And the story with the people that Hillel converted was that even though they came for the wrong reasons, they saw the beauty of the religion and they became frum members of the community, and regretted that they came for the wrong reason. They did teshuvah, and now he's here, which is exactly what we want. So Rabbi Uziel was deeply concerned about the fate of children born to a Jewish father and a non-Jewish mother. Such children, although of Jewish stock, are in fact not halakhically Jewish. Children raised in such intermarriages will be lost to the Jewish people entirely. Thus, it is obligatory for rabbis to convert the non-Jewish mother in order to keep the children in the Jewish fold. Rabbi Uziel noted, "And I fear that if we push them, the children, away completely, by not accepting their parents for conversion, we shall be brought to judgment, and they shall say to us, 'You did not bring back those who were driven away, and those who were lost you did not seek.'" This is from Yehezkel 34. And that's mentioned in the Talmud, that one reason why we are in the diaspora is to gather converts. But everybody today seems to want to ignore that and somehow say it's our responsibility to get rid of them, push them away. And who does this? Muslims, do they go around and tell people, you should be a dhimmi, a second-class citizens? Of course not. They say you should convert to Islam because that's what they feel is good for them. So that would be what's good for others. It's just nonsense to me to tell people, yeah, this is good for me, but you should really be some type of a servant, a second-class citizen, which doesn't even legally exist, as we'll cover when we get into the laws of that, because we don't have Yovel, and we'll learn what Yovel is, but we do not have Ger Toshav because we don't have this system in place today. Anyway, back to the article. In another responsum, Rabbi Uziel wrote, "I admit without embarrassment that my heart is filled with trembling for every Jewish soul that is assimilated during assimilated among the non-Jews. I feel in myself a duty and a mitzvah to open a door to repentance and to save Jews from assimilation by invoking arguments for leniency. This is the way of Torah, in my humble opinion, and this is what I saw and received from my parents and my teachers. And this is what the majority of people received from their parents and their teachers for thousands of years. Again, this is a modern embarrassment that we brought upon ourselves to start behaving this way in the last 150 years or so. And also notice that he points out the Jewish soul that is assimilated among the non-Jews because of the intermarriage situation, but yet by pushing away the spouse and their children, we're losing them to other religions, we're losing them to atheism, we're pushing them away. So we're creating more of the types of Jews that we don't want, unaffiliated, non-religious Jews, just like we do when we push them into reform and conservative, even though they came with an orthodox-minded derrick to be on. So it's just ridiculous. Certainly Rabbi Uziel would have liked all Jews, born Jews and converted Jews, to live fully religious lives, devoted to Torah and mitzvot. But since we live in an imperfect world, we need to make halakhic judgments based on the realities that we face. Since intermarriage is a great sin and leads to the loss of children to the Jewish people, Rabbi Uziel deemed these concerns to outweigh considerations about how religiously observant the converts would be. Surely, candidates for conversion should be taught some of the major and some of the minor mitzvot, which is what it says specifically, some, not all. And they should come to feel as members of the Jewish people, which oftentimes converts do not. Rabbi David Bar Haim can attest to this. He said that he has had, over his experience spanning multiple decades, he's had people contact him from every different continent, and they all tell the same story. They converted, they're religiously observant, and yet they don't feel like members of the community. So obviously, people from different continents spanning different decades are not conspiring to send him the same story. This is what's happening throughout the Jewish people, for people who have already converted. They're not even questioning their sincerity or their religiosity. They're just, not accepting them and making them feel as members. So what chance does an intermarriage couple have to say, yeah, my spouse is not Jewish, but she's willing to convert? What chance do people like this have to be accepted and to raise their children accordingly? But if they lived as non-observant Jews, this is their sin, not ours. By preventing intermarriage situations, we can hope that these couples and their children will be part of the Jewish people and will ultimately come closer to our Torah traditions. If, however, we turn such converts away, we allow intermarriages to persist, and we undermine the possibility of keeping children of such marriages within the Jewish people. And I can tell you one example that I know. There's a couple. The man was born in Israeli, then moved to Canada and married. He's a doctor. He married his wife. She converted. They had 2 children, 2 boys, and my understanding is they're both going to be entering medical school. And so she actually converted and became a pillar of the community. There every Shabbat. She's teaching the kids classes in Sunday schools. And when we need a minyan, the husband is nowhere to be found. So had we pushed them away, we would have lost her and the 2 children. Because somehow all we want is the Jewish guy who's nowhere to be found on almost any Shabbat. So to me, we have to accept these people. And, that's one example that I personally have seen. So I've changed my position on this because I used to think that converting from marriage was not the right reason. But, as we're making the case here and with the example that I just gave you, we have to rethink these things. Okay, last paragraph on page 10. Other halakhic authorities have raised considerations that warrant leniencies in the area of conversion. If we fear that by not converting a non-Jewish partner, the Jewish partner to the intermarriage or potential intermarriage will estrange himself or herself from the Jewish community, we should convert the non-Jewish partner. If we reject them, such couples could be married by civil authorities or by non-Orthodox rabbis. If they were turning to Orthodox rabbis for the conversion, this itself is an indication that they preferred to be part of the traditional Jewish community. If we reject them, we may run the risk of having them live outside the Jewish community, or even of having the Jewish partner convert to the religion of the spouse. We often attack other religions, say, how dare you try to convert us? You can convert the rest of the world, just leave us alone. Don't convert our people. Yet we ourselves are pushing some of these people who, through our rejection, force them to that same religion of the spouse. And then we get mad at the other religion for caring enough to try and convert us, but yet we're pushing our own people into their religion. Some of them in examples like this. Okay, next we will pick up with page 11.